Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we've got Terence. He is a talented man. He's into marketing. He's into bodybuilding. He loves his tight trousers. And he comes on people's podcasts, not just my own, so we should get a good show from this. And
yes,
he does
indeed.
Air BnB. So we've got a wide range of subjects to talk about in 20 minutes. Before we start, do not forget to like, subscribe and follow, depending what platform you're listening to us on or even watching us in the sense of YouTube. So nice to have you here today, Terence.
Nice to be here. Very nice to be here.
So, all right, let's start off with marketing. Why marketing?
I've always been creative from a very young age. I remember the earliest story of me being creative. I was actually thinking of this today. My brother and I were in boarding school in Nigeria, and we had our money stolen, but we were good at drawing. And
was it physically taken off you?
Yes.
Okay, so you were the younger one.
I was. Yeah.
So you couldn't have fought back
at all. No, and we're not fighters in that sense. We weren't naturally fighters.
If you see how big this guy is, oh my gosh!
I mean, if it gets to it, I've got an aggressive side.
I have to drop this in. Do you remember Black Panther?
Oh my!
Do you remember that man? He goes whoo, whoo, walking out the cave with that mask. Yeah, I think they're the gorilla thing.
Yeah. I know.
Silverback all the way here. We got a silverback. Are you good at fighters? Okay.
No, naturally.
What did you learn from that experience? I say.
What, in boarding school?
Yeah, from that experience when you got your money taken from you.
I don't think I learned anything from that. I already knew it's a dog eat dog world we live in, and I already knew what human nature is capable of. If that makes sense.
But if you're in boarding school, everyone's got money. You're rich. Your parents are rich.
Yes and no, because it's back in Nigeria, so you can't ever be too rich. You know what I mean? So if somebody's got something I want, and I'm bigger and stronger, I'm gonna take it, even if I have everything I need. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any limitations on how much money an individual with greed can acquire.
Yeah, I suppose nationalities are the same as in nations and stuff, so that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So you went into art.
Yeah.
What kind of things were you drawing?
Just comic book. Comic book stuff, yeah. I was a big fan of comic book superheroes.
Marvel or DC?
Either or. Back then, I never had a preference. I was a kid, so just anyone with a cape.
Man all the way.
Yeah, I'm more of a Marvel man.
Where's this a jet button?
I'm more of a Marvel man because they had more cartoons, and the cartoons was what I was watching at that time. But I think if there was an equal distribution of DC cartoons, do you know what I mean?
I prefer DC, and I have to jump in here, because it's more real to life. Every of their superheroes are traumatic. There's a death.
Yeah.
Something's happened in the family.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, and it's real stories.
Fair point.
It's not just a superhero flying through the sky. It's like some, Batman, his father's killed, his parents killed in front of him.
Yeah.
All these kind of things, and I can relate to those kind of
Fair
things.
Point. Fair point.
I think it's good.
I hear that.
But so you started to do these comics.
Yeah.
What happened?
And that's so. In terms of, you asked me why marketing. So from a very young age, I've always been very creative. And I was lucky enough to work in a private members club in Mayfair, and that sort of triggered the passion for advertising or marketing or sort of creative directing, putting an event together, putting a marketing campaign for the event, whether it's a fashion event or, celebrity event, whatever it is. So those experiences are what triggered my interest in it, basically. And that's how it all started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from your marketing...
Yeah.
What kind of job are you doing in marketing?
So marketing, it would depend on the project. So mostly I like to be the creative director because you oversee everything. You have the vision for, say it's a fashion brand, for example, or if it's an influencer collaboration, you oversee the recruitment of the influencers, you oversee the pieces that are selected, coming up with a concept for the video, location, picking the models, the videographers, photographers. So basically being the one with the vision, not the only one with the vision, but having the vision and then coming together as a team to execute in that vision, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how, dealing with influencers, how do you select them?
It's difficult because influencers are, dare I say, entitled. Not all of them, but majority of them are entitled. And for a lot of them, rightfully so. But I think you have to, not just with influencers, with any with any collaboration or any business sort of collaboration, for lack of a better word, I think you have to see how you can benefit the other person and how you can mutually benefit from whatever project you are working on together. And if you go with that approach, then it's an easier sell. You know, I can do this for you, you can do this for me. How can we come together to make this thing work? That's my typical approach, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So do you give that pet to influencers? Because I've interviewed quite a few people who deal with influencers, and they always say, oh, it's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Because they have a manager who's their friend.
Yeah.
The friend doesn't really know. They don't turn up on time.
Yeah.
They think everything should be, they think like they're a mini celebrity.
Literally. That's why I said entitled. But I think...
Is it because of the age group? Because they're millennials or that generation before, after millennials?
I'm not sure if it's the age group. I think it's just a shift in society. If somebody tells you you're important, or even if they don't tell you directly, if somebody shows you that you're important, if somebody says, if you know that if you posted something on Instagram or something anywhere, or if you said anything anywhere, that you were guaranteed to have 10,000 people backing what you've just said, then that warps, that gives you a full sense of importance. I don't think it's an age thing. I think a 60-year-old who has a control of an audience would have the same entitled mentality.
Is it also in reflection and into response that we know big business will always turn over the little man? So if I go in aggressive like a pit bull and let them give them a run for their money, then they're less likely to win over me.
Yeah. That contributes to it as well, yeah. I believe so.
So your marketing rolls into your Airbnb, I suppose?
Yes.
And how
Airbnb sells itself, but I've only just experienced low season and high season, and I'm putting together a marketing plan for the low season because I've been doing Airbnb for about 4 years now, and I've never had any issues with low season. So now that I know it's a thing, or it's going to be consistent, then marketing is rolling into it because I need to know how to market these properties during the low season to be able to get the footfall to sustain itself.
Why
basically.
would it be a thing and it wasn't before?
I don't know. I think maybe I got lucky in the previous years I was doing it. Maybe the location I had initially wasn't an issue. Maybe the locations I have now struggle to get more traffic during the low season. It could be a lot of different variables, to be honest with you.
Is it central London, your locations?
Yeah. So anything central. So if it's not in central London, it needs to be within 10 minutes by train to central London. Or near a stadium, near an arena, near somewhere we can have conferences, because then you have a lot of different demographics of people that would want to stay at the place, not just one type of person.
Do you own these properties or do you sublet?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you're doing well in life, aren't you?
I'm trying to. I'm trying to survive, you know. So that's the focus. It really is. I was having a conversation yesterday with a group of my friends, and I used the example of Floyd Mayweather.
Yep.
Or either Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor, where they've been slated for taking on fights that they shouldn't have, but they've done it for the money. And that's literally my point. They're businessmen first. They are businessmen first.
I know I can beat him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get paid, he'll get paid.
Yeah.
So why not?
Exactly.
That makes total sense.
There was a mention of integrity as a counterpoint, but
really?
But
they do realise it's boxing you're doing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's my point.
There's no integrity.
Yeah.
I'm going to smash your face in and get paid.
Exactly.
Whoever said that's an idiot.
I think it's 100% business first. You're not going to do anything just for the time. I mean, you would.
And just the thought of it. Sorry to interrupt. Just the thought of that. Think of it.
Yeah.
Anybody who can fight.
Yeah.
And someone said, I'll give you 25 million for a fight.
Yeah.
And they said, by the way, it's Bob, that stick and set bookworm guy down the street. But he gets 2 million, so he's up for it as well.
Yeah.
said, Bob, I won't hit you that hard, but I'm going to hit you. I said, don't worry.
Yeah.
Just make it quick. It's going to be like that, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Yeah? Think of it now, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Sorry, go on what you're saying.
Yeah, so I say that to say I'm just doing what I'm doing so I can survive and so I can have something in the future, you know. because whatever you make, you don't really make because you have to reinvest it to be able to get more properties. You know, so it's a long journey, but at least it's something that you can see, you can work, you can build around your future, basically. And that's what it's about.
Tell me, how did you get into Airbnb?
I was aware of what it was, but it was the previous business I had crashed, which was a marketing and advertising firm, just before COVID. And a friend of mine was strongly recommended to try Airbnb because I had quite a large apartment. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and he thought I could rent out the rooms and generate some form of income through that. And that's how it all started, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known about Airbnb before I sold my apartment. I'd have kicked the tenants out. So I used to live abroad. So I'd kick the tenants out.
Okay.
And all that, but such is life.
I mean,
so what would be your advice to somebody who's trying to get into Airbnb now?
I think do it.
How
to get into it?
How?
The quickest way, the quickest way to get into it is obviously let to let. So you take out a tenancy. But anybody with capital is better to buy, just because you don't have to deal with the landlord, you don't have to go behind the landlord's back, or you don't have to have long conversations with the landlord to give you the approval to do Airbnb. So those are your two options. Either you have the capital to buy a property and do Airbnb, or you take out a tenancy and have an agreement with your landlord to be able to let out the property while staying there, basically. I'd say just with any normal tenancy in London, you need a deposit, you need a 1 month's rent up front, and go for a furnished property. Because my first property was, I kitted it out myself. All the furnishing was mine, but that's a lot of overheads. That increases what you need to start dramatically. Whereas if you go for a property that's already furnished, all you have to do is cover the rent and cover the 5 weeks deposit, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And location is very, very important. You need to get but you're increasing your chances of being booked if you get somewhere near an arena or a stadium or a place where they host conferences. That's very, very, very important.
I don't know if you drive, you're in a taxi now, Uber. Do you do that? Ever tried that when you rent your car out?
I've never tried it.
So a lady told me that, and she does that, and she's her own car. She only uses it on weekends, and she gets £500 a month from it.
That's amazing.
So she's covering the cost of the car and getting a little change. And stuff. So I was actually contemplating doing that, but she said you need time. You need the mindset that you need to move that car from place to place at times, or unless the client's going to come to pick it up. But she deals with a lot of Americans who come from the airport. And once they've rented and they like the car, they just keep them. They give her a phone, so you build up a relationship. She always meets the person, so she can see what they're about, and that kind of thing.
That's a good idea.
Just suggesting.
That's a very good idea.
Tuco or something. Something. It's on one of my episodes. It's going to be published.
I'll have a look at it.
And she actually works for the company.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it should be on YouTube. I'm not sure if I published it yet.
Oh, right. Okay,
I've got a backlog.
Right. Yeah.
In that respect.
Yeah, so that's an amazing idea.
So going back to Nigeria, what was school like in Nigeria? What was the whole process, and when did you come over?
I came when I was 10, which is in 97. School was fun. I wasn't a popular kid, but I had good friends. The education system within the Nigerian culture, the discipline is obviously quite harsh. So you get beats, sticks, canes. You do get beats by the teachers, but I think the education system is very tough. They get you in from a young age. It's important to have an education in Nigeria. But we got to boarding school, and my brother and I just skived. We didn't really go to school because you're in an environment where you can do what you want, and if you're prepared to face the consequences, then, and you don't want to go to school, then that's up to you, So that's what we did when we went to boarding school. We just completely forwent school, but that's not for lack of wanting to. Just we always used to get into fights and into trouble, and I was very protective of my brother. Extremely protective.
Brother?
No, he's my older brother. So
So you learned to fight eventually, then?
100%. Yeah.
So you did learn something.
No, we've been in a few fights, but we're just not. It's not in my nature. I've got a temper, and I get quite aggressive, but it's not in my nature. It's not my go-to.
Yeah.
I would always try and de-escalate any situation I'm in. I wouldn't react first emotionally. Yeah, so when I say we're not fighters, that's what I mean, because it won't be my knee-jerk reaction, basically.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't fight. It just means you don't want to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
In that respect. Of
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear you saying. Mm-hmm. So would you send your kids to boarding school in Nigeria?
Never.
Really?
Not even here. I understand why, but I think kids need their parents around. And if I'm gonna have kids, or if I was to send them off, it would be they'd come back on the weekends. Or I don't know. Actually, no, I wouldn't. It's just there's just no point. I don't see a point in boarding school, whether it's in Nigeria or whether it's here or in any other country. It's not worth it. I think the kids need to be at home. They need to be nurtured. They need to be taught directly from their parents, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. No, I agree with that. I've had that conversation with my son's mama.
Yeah.
My son lives in Kenya, and she talks about boarding school for her older children, and I said, nope, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Don't blame you, man.
Happen. Things like that.
Yeah.
So you've spoken on a couple of podcasts.
Yeah.
What podcasts were these?
I've spoken on the Just Pearly Things podcast. She's doing amazing right now. She focuses on a lot of gender politics. I've spoken on another podcast called Get Slick with Kit, and he focuses on relationship advice for women.
Okay.
Specifically for women, you know, how they can navigate dating.
Cook the dinner.
No.
Make it looking sexy.
Whatever advice could
all and change, all that, stop complaining. I'm gonna get a load of angry messages.
Nah, you'll be fine. It's all fun and games.
Yeah.
It's tongue in cheek. Yeah, those two podcasts are the two that come to my mind, and they were quite very good, very, very good conversations, and a lot of controversial points are made as well. Do you know what I mean? Specifically with gender division, there's a lot of different people with ideas, and
it's interesting when you say controversial, because I think if something's factual based, it's not controversial. It's just a fact.
True.
But people don't like it because it doesn't fit their ethic.
Exactly.
It's still not controversial.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you could say you have more stay-at-home mums than you do dads.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to prove that would be if you stand at a school and see how many mums pick up their children to how many fathers.
Yeah, good point. But
people say, well, no.
Yeah.
Well, go to any school.
It's irrefutable. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Even whether it's a boys' school or whatever, go to any school.
Yeah.
But we've come to the end of our journey.
Mm-hmm.
We thanks a lot for you for sharing the gift, giving us the insight about Airbnb.
Absolutely
talking about marketing, sharing about your experiences and thing. And we wish you well. My last question to you would be: you've had an interesting life experience so far.
Yeah.
If the world was standing in front of you, 7.5 billion people, no pressure, and they all wanted one sentence of advice based on your life experience, what would that be?
It would be community. Community is paramount. I know it's going to sound cheesy or corny, but we can't do it on our own. You know, the typical love thy neighbor, it's extremely important for me. I know people say it's corny and it's whatever it is, but I'm a strong believer in coming together and building community, or coming together and achieving something, you know. Help another person to help another person, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Wish you well also. Thank you very much.
And if anybody wants to find you to interview you for a podcast, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. Don't laugh at the name. The name is Candy Floss Chocolate Muffin.
For real?
Yeah, that's my name on Instagram.
Candy
Floss Chocolate Muffin.
You sound like you're like a pimp, or you're the male version of OnlyFans. Okay.
So
Candy, I need to write that down. Candy. Let's spell that for everybody. Make sure there's no misunderstanding. Because with that and the way I described you as a Black Panther, you're going to get some phone calls.
Oh my God. That's CANDII .chocolate CHOLATE dot. Oh, I forgot the floss. Sorry, I'm gonna start again. Candy CANDII .floss FLOSS .chocolate CHOCOLATE.muffin MUFFIN. Candy floss chocolate muffin.
Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Much. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
So,
It's been fun.
we hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.